What if I told you that a brand new, super powerful AI was actually worse at a really important job than the old tech it was supposed to replace? Sounds a little counterintuitive, right? Well, a fascinating study in the Strategic Management Journal looked into this exact question, and what they found tells us something incredibly important about the future of human work.
You know, everyone's asking the big question, will AI take our jobs? But this research digs a little deeper. It asks something more specific. What happens if these advanced AI systems have a hidden blind spot, a vulnerability that, well, people can actually exploit?
So the paper gives this blind spot a name: input incompleteness. It sounds a bit academic, but the idea is actually pretty straightforward. It's what happens when the information you feed an algorithm is incomplete because people are strategically trying to fool it. I mean, think about it. When you write a resume or file an insurance claim, you're presenting information in a certain way. You're trying to game the system.
All right, to really test this idea, the researchers needed the perfect real-world laboratory, and they found it in the high-stakes world of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, or the USPTO. This is a place where figuring out what's truly new is not only incredibly difficult, but also takes a ton of time.
And just to give you a sense of the pressure these patent examiners are under, get this, the USPTO has a backlog of over 500,000 applications, 500,000. So you can see why there's this huge push for faster, more accurate tools to help them sift through this mountain of information.
Now, here's where things get really tricky, for both humans and for machines. Patent law has this interesting quirk. It allows inventors to be their own lexicographers. That's a fancy way of saying they can literally make up new words or give new meanings to existing words to describe their inventions.
So this puts the examiners in a tough spot. They have to ask themselves, is this person using new words because their invention is genuinely groundbreaking? Or are they just using confusing, vague language on purpose to hide the fact that their idea isn't actually new? And that is a perfect example of the input incompleteness we were just talking about. An applicant might intentionally use obscure language to trick the system.
Okay, so how do you figure out which technology is better at handling this kind of strategic trickery? Well, the researchers set up a classic showdown. They pitted the old, established search technology against a shiny new machine learning tool to see who would come out on top.
So in one corner, you've got the old guard, a Boolean search tool. It's reliable, but it completely depends on the human examiner typing in the exact right keywords. And in the other corner, you have the new contender, a powerful machine learning algorithm that's supposed to be smarter. It's designed to automatically read an entire application and predict what's relevant.
Here's how they designed the experiment, and it was pretty clever. They brought in 221 grad students to act as rookie patent examiners. They randomly split them up. Some got the old tech, some got the new ML tool. Then they added a twist. Half of each group got a critical tip, some expert advice from a real senior patent examiner. The mission for everyone was exactly the same: find that one single patent, the silver bullet, that would prove the application wasn't new after all.
All right, let's get to the results, because this is where things get really interesting and, frankly, pretty surprising.
So here's the headline finding. When it was left all on its own, with no human help, the powerful new AI tool was actually worse than the old tech. It completely failed to find that all-important silver bullet.
And this chart really drives that point home. This shows the success rate without any expert advice. You can see the old Boolean tech had at least some success, but the new ML tool, zero. A 0% success rate. Let me say that again. Nobody using the ML tool by itself found the silver bullet. So the big question is, why? How could the supposedly smarter tool fail so spectacularly?
Well, it turns out the machine got tricked by that input incompleteness. It was programmed to find patents that use similar words, and it was great at that. The problem was, the silver bullet patent was similar in concept, but it used totally different language. The AI got hung up on the surface-level text and completely missed the deeper conceptual connection. And this is where the human expert comes back into the picture. It turns out that expert advice was the absolute game changer. When the participants got that tip, like a few crucial keywords that weren't even in the application, their success rate shot way up, no matter which tool they were using. That little piece of human insight was exactly what was needed to overcome the machine's blind spot. But wait, there's more. The study didn't stop there. It uncovered another, final twist in the story, revealing that there's a second kind of human skill that really matters here.
So check this out. Just getting the expert advice wasn't always enough, especially for the people using that new complex ML tool. The researchers found that only the participants who had a tech-focused background, think computer science or engineering, were able to effectively use the advice. The paper calls this vintage-specific skills. In other words, you didn't just need to know what to look for, you also needed to know how to operate the new machine to find it.
So let's zoom out. What's the big takeaway here for the future of work? This study offers a really powerful framework for how we should think about our relationship with AI.
The paper argues that to unlock AI's true potential, it's not about the machine alone. It's about a partnership that relies on two distinct human skills. First, you need that domain expertise, the deep insider knowledge of a field that lets you spot when someone's gaming the system. And second, you need those vintage-specific skills, the technical know-how to actually drive the new technology effectively.
So in the end, this research really reframes the whole conversation. It suggests the question isn't about man versus machine. It's not about whether a machine will take your job. The real question is, do you have the right combination of skills, both the deep knowledge of your field and the technical fluency, to become that indispensable human partner that makes the machine better?